Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel FF Analytics. On this channel, we find facts and fine-tune figures. Hi guys, welcome back. On today's episode of Fabric with Francis, we're talking about lakehouse and warehouses. In our last video, we did talk about one lake within Microsoft Fabric, and we established that assets within your one lake can be accessed via your lakehouses or your warehouses. Are they the same? Are they different? Let us find out, guys. Warehousing is one of the major selling experiences within Microsoft Fabric, whereas your Lakehouse is an experience that is embedded within data engineering experience in your Microsoft Fabric. How do you differentiate what to use between a Lakehouse and a warehouse? So come with me, guys. Lakehouses can take both structured and unstructured data, whereas your warehouse can take just structured data. So if your workload require just structured data, then you should go for a warehouse. But if you are going to be using both structured and unstructured data, then Lakehouse is your go-to guy. Another point worthy of mention is the fact that the skill set that is required to work within a lakehouse is different from those that are required to work within a warehouse. Within your warehouse, you need just the knowledge of your T-SQL, whereas in your lakehouses, you need knowledge of T-SQL, you need PySpark, you need Spark R, Spark SQL. So all of these are available for you to do your data transformation, and even sometimes you can do data science workload within your lakehouses, which are not possible in your warehouse. Even though you can use T-SQL in both lakehouses and warehouses, you can use that just for read operation in your lakehouses, but you can use T-SQL for both the read and write operation within your data warehouse. Another point worthy of mention is the fact that on your data warehouses, you can actually perform multi-transactional operation, which are not possible on your lakehouses. So on your warehouse, you can do your drop, your delete and update table operation, which are not possible in your lakehouses. So come with me, guys, as we do less of talking and more of practical in today's session. Before we move ahead to our practical session, it is worthy of mention that both your lakehouse and warehouses have SQL endpoints from which you can access your data sitting inside lakehouse and warehouses. So once you are within a Fabric enabled workspace within your Power BI environment, all you have to do is to switch which experience that you want to. In our case now, we are going to be switching to a data warehouse experience. So once I switch to data warehouse experience, the assets that I can create are different. I can create a warehouse, a sample warehouse, or I can use a pipeline to ingest data into our warehouse. Whereas for lakehouses, I have to navigate and switch to my data engineering experience. So for my data engineering experience, I can create a lakehouse. And inside that lakehouse, it is also possible that you access data using a notebook. That is why I said that you need just more than T-SQL to work within a lakehouse. However, you can use data pipeline to also ingest data into your lakehouse. So guys, let us continue and I will show us some of lakehouses and warehouses I had created earlier. So within our workspace, this is a sample lakehouse that I had created. When a lakehouse is created, two other assets are also created with it, which is your SQL endpoint that I had mentioned earlier, and also your data set. Your SQL endpoints provide a medium via which you can query the data set within your lakehouse using your SQL query. The same thing applies to your data warehouse. Once a warehouse is created, automatically a data set is also created with it. So from your lake warehouse, from your warehouse, just like your lakehouse, you can also copy your SQL string, which you can use to connect to external tool. So to create a lakehouse or a warehouse, all you have to do is to switch your experience. So let us switch to a data warehouse experience, then we can create a simple data warehouse. So we are going to click on this right now to create our warehouse and give it a name. Let's call it demo. So we are going to call it demo and then you click on create. So once that is created for us, we can then see what is possible within a warehouse. Right here, our warehouse is already created. So let us walk through all the icons that we have above. Here you can refresh your data, assuming you have data already in your warehouse, or you can click on this J icon. Once you click on this J icon, you can actually rename your warehouse and give it another name, or you can copy your SQL connection string. Copy this string and use it to connect externally to the item from Power BI desktop or client tools like SSMS. So once you copy this link, you can paste it in your SSMS, which I'm still going to show us in this video, and connect to an external tool Then you can interact with your data warehouse using those external tools. Then you can also query your data set. You can use visual query, you can create a new report and then you can create a new measure. Unlike Lakehouse, the only thing you can use to bring data sets into your warehouse is just your pipeline. But the interesting thing about Microsoft Fabric is that you can combine your pipeline with your data flow gen too. So within your pipeline, you can create a copy activity or a delete activity. So you can view your data within your warehouse, or you can query it, or you can even do your data modeling for your data visualization. Also, to create a data lakehouse, all we have to do is to switch to our data engineering experience. So within our data engineering experience, we can then create a lakehouse. So let's create a lakehouse and give it a name. We are going to call it demo lakehouse, and then you click on create. Once you click on create, then your lakehouse will be created for you. Like I said, unlike warehouses, lakehouses you can use your new data flow gen tool or a data pipeline or notebook or shortcut to get data into your lakehouses, which is just pipeline when it comes to warehouses. Just like we have in your lakehouse, just like you have in your warehouse, you can use get data to you can use get data to move data into your lakehouses, and then you can do upload new data pipeline and then new data flow gen 2 and then your shortcuts. So like I mentioned earlier, within our lakehouse, I can actually upload a CSV file. So I'm going to upload a CSV file called a sales file, and then that file I'm going to load it as an data lake table. So I'm going to navigate into my local computer now and select the CSV file I want to upload. Then I click on open. Then I also click on upload. So once I click on upload, the file will be uploaded for me. So my file has been uploaded. I will just close this pane now and come to file right here. Then I will click on refresh and wait for my CSV file to actually come up. So I will click on refresh once again to be sure that my file is here. So just to be sure, I can do a drop down and do a drop down again and again. So I can keep refreshing until my file is already inside of my lakehouse. So I'll select the file again. Now we have the CSV file uploaded in our lakehouse. So I can hover on that and click on this ellipsis right here, and then I will load it to table. What this means is that I'm transforming my CSV file into a flat file of a CSV format into a data lake format that is optimized for a lakehouse. So I will click on load to table. So that will prompt me to give it a name. So if I wish, I can give it a name. If I'm okay with the name, I will just click on load, which is what I'm going to do right now. So my file will now be loaded and be available for me as a data lake table within a lakehouse. Table is now available within a lakehouse for me to work with. So I can work with it using my SQL, or I can work with it using my notebook, either for data transformation or for data science experience. I can then switch to my SQL endpoint, where I can use my T-SQL to query and explore my data sets. So within my lakehouse now, I have various SQL objects, from functions to store procedures and then the tables. I can also create a view. Then I can also query my data set by clicking this query right here, and then I can do select top 100. So that is going to generate an SQL query for me that will, that will fetch me the top 100 rows. Then I can also actually visualize the result of my query. All I have to do is to select the query, and then I can save it as a table. I can download it as an Excel file, or I can visualize the results. So all of these things are possible within a lakehouse. So I'm going to navigate back to my lakehouse experience also. Then from there, I'm going to now open up a new notebook. So I can open up my notebook within lakehouse to explore my table. So I'll click on that and click on a new notebook. So once I click on a notebook will be launched for me even within my lakehouse, and my notebook is created. So within my notebook now, I can click on this ellipsis and then and load to Spark. So once I load to Spark, then I have a Spark code automatically generated for me, which I can run. So the first time you are running a Spark code is going to take time for connection to be established before your cell will run successfully. Now our cell has run successfully, and then we can see the outcome of that operation. So from here you can continue with your data transformation, or if you are interested in a data science workload, then you can use this to interact with your data set, and it's available for anything you want to do within your notebook. So let's go back to our warehouse and explore it further, just like we did for a lakehouse. So I think at this point I should mention the fact that if you delete a warehouse, every asset associated with that warehouse will be deleted. The same thing applies to your lakehouses. So if you delete a lakehouse, for example now, this lakehouse, the SQL endpoint and data sets will be deleted. So be careful when you are doing anything that has to do with deleting. So we are going to go to this explore warehouse that I had created earlier, where I had imported some data sets, and then we can interact with that. So to do the interaction now, we are going to copy the SQL endpoints to interact with the data set within our lakehouse. So to get your SQL connection string, you can come to this J icon like I showed us earlier, and then you copy that. So once you have that copied, you can then go to your SQL Server Management Studio. Inside your SQL Server Management Studio, you can click on Connect, and then you select Database Engine. If you are doing Database Engine, instead of your typical local server, you are supposed to change this and paste the SQL connection string that you had copied right here, and then the identification method must also be changed. Then you change that to Azure Data Factory Azure Active Directory MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. Then you click on connect, and then you make sure that your internet connection is on. So that is going to give us uh, a interface where you can log in using the same login with your Fabric environment. So I'll just do a login now. Once I provide my detail, I will just click on next, and then I'll be prompted to put in my password. I'll click on sign in. Once I click on sign in, then I bypass the security page. Then you give it a time, then you give it some time, and that will load up every asset within that your SQL endpoint as databases. You can see that we have database now. Then you can do a drop down, and then you can see that various assets within our one lake environment are now available within our SSMS as a database. So this explore warehouse now is now available for us to query with T-SQL. I'm sure this is an experience that data engineers that are more comfortable working with SSMS will be comfortable with. So you do a drop down to your tables, and then you can see all the tables that you have within your warehouse. So you can see the table, and then you can query them just like you would do typically in your SSMS. Our query has been executed. Then I mentioned that whatever operation, then I mentioned that uh on your data warehouse you can do multi-transactional operation, which is not possible on your lakehouse. So I'm going to write a new query now to demonstrate two things. First, to demonstrate that whatever operation that you perform here, be it on a lakehouse or on a warehouse, will automatically reflect inside of your Fabric environment. So if you create a view here, you are going to see it inside your lakehouse or your warehouse. Or if you do a delete here, you are going to see that happening even within your lakehouse or your warehouse. However, we know that multi-transactional operations are not possible within lakehouse. So I'm going to create a view with this query now. I will just type create view, then give my view a name. Then I can run this query. Then I click on execute. So once that is done, I can expect that the view has been created. So you can access the view either from your SSMS, or you can go to your Microsoft Fabric and see your view. So you can see that we have a view object that has been created now in this warehouse. Also, like I said, for warehouses, you can do a simple drop operation to demonstrate the multi-transactional abilities of data warehouse, which is lacking in data lakehouse. So I'm going to select all this query right now and click on execute. Then our table has been dropped, which is our fact state table. So we can then go back to our Fabric environment and check if this table has been dropped, and also to check if this fact view was created. So here is our warehouse where we can see that the table that has been dropped in our SQL Server Management Studio is no longer in our warehouse. So whatever operation that you perform inside of external client 2 will actually be trickled down to your Fabric environment. Then let's just confirm also if the view is now available. So we can see that the view is now also available in our warehousing. So guys, now I'm sure we can now decide what to use between a data warehouse or a data lakehouses. So until next time, thank you for joining.